as there have been sightings of animals crossing the highway. We have the details from Dwayne Anderson.
The joy from the opening of the Maypen to Williamsfield leg of Highway 2000 quickly turned into sobering warnings for motorists.
It is imperative that we acknowledge the responsibility that comes with these kinds of advancements to ensure that each journey on this and every highway and byway is a safe one. The statistics remind us of the gravity of the issue. Every year, an unacceptable number of lives are impacted by crashes on our roads, main roads, parochial roads, and highways.
So far this year, over 280 Jamaicans have died in road crashes. It is partly why residents and workers were also quick to join the chorus of people issuing safety warnings to motorists. They say animals continue to occasionally run loose on the highway.
I would have to say this, and I'm not going to hold back in saying the motorists have to pay attention to animals, because we still have some animals that are finding themselves on the highway. So I'm just asking them to proceed with extreme caution and just drive carefully.
Don't let the highway deter you into that which, you say is a highway and you're going to drive fast to kill off somebody and yourself. So, drive slowly, drive within the speed limit, and, you can get to your destination in time.
The highway still have some necessary works to be done. Be very careful on the road from animals where that is concerned, especially within the Clarendon stretch right to Milk River here, because you have a lot of cows and goats still sweeping through, so please be careful.
The message is clear, whether it's from politicians, business people, or just ordinary everyday Jamaicans. When you're using this highway, do so safely. Miss Annette Pierce says she's one of the residents who had to be relocated due to the construction of the highway. She was living in porous Manchester, but now lives in Trelawney. She has no regrets about uprooting for the road project.
I feel very proud because it's another development for the country, wherein we can reach our destination. Example, going into Kingston, we reach there quicker and much faster.
Would you say the sacrifice of relocating is worth it based on the highway you're looking at now?
Yes, it's worth it. It's worth it. The government has done a lot. The government has done a lot, and we are grateful for it.
The Transport Minister Darrell Vaz in the meantime indicated JUTC services may be coming back to Clarendon soon and even extending into Manchester.
We need to provide transportation, public transportation. So I am pleased to announce this morning, Prime Minister, that we are looking at JUTC in relation to expanding their routes to Williamsfield.
Reporting from Clarendon, I'm Dwayne Anderson for TVJ News.
Thanks, Dwayne. Now, an urgent call this evening for proper lighting and signage to warn motorists of highway construction work in St. Thomas after a man lost his life in a motor vehicle crash on Friday night. 27-year-old Oshano Brooks and his male cousin were in a Toyota motor car heading from Kingston when it slammed into the gas tank of a trailer heading in the opposite direction. It happened about 6:30 Friday evening along the Albion Main Road. Now, the trailer driver was not hurt, but Mr. Brooks was later pronounced dead at hospital while his cousin was admitted in serious condition. While one resident noted that persons who are not from St. Thomas often speed in that area because of the smooth surface, eyewitnesses say the crash happened because of poor lighting along that section of the Southern Coastal Highway.
We need Mr. Andrew Wellness out of St. Thomas here. We need some street light, because we are straight here if you see the road when we are heading to town and coming back home. And the thing is, man, we are work on the road, them are block the road.
Right here is where the accident gone, and some black tire them block the road with. And the light not up on the road for say, you can see what go on. No reflector not up on the tire them, no cone, nothing not there before the tires.
As dengue cases increase island-wide, Medical Officer of Health for Westmoreland, Dr. Marcia Graham, has issued another warning to persons who may be displaying symptoms. She wants them to avoid aspirins and medications like ibuprofen. Speaking at the latest meeting of the Westmoreland Municipal Corporation, Dr. Graham said those medications can make dengue more fatal. She said persons with a fever should be especially careful.
Dengue fever, remind you, it's characterized by sudden fever, headache, pain behind the eye, nausea, vomiting, body ache, and a rash. Whenever persons therefore have a fever, we are asking them, please use acetaminophen or paracetamol-based medication for the fever, for the pain. We ask that you avoid using aspirin or any of the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory agents such as ibuprofen or naproxen and other medications of that sort.
The Justice Minister says he's worried about the number of reports of child abuse cases in St. Mary. During a justice fair in the parish recently, Delroy Chuck said schools are being targeted to create awareness about the issue, which are sometimes of a sexual nature. This, he says, will help educators identify suspected cases and for students to feel comfortable enough to speak confidentially with an adult about it.
We have far too many cases of sexual abuse of our young girls. And in speaking to the students, we emphasize that where it occurs, they must be prepared and be courageous to inform the guidance counselor or their teacher or an adult to ensure that the adults who abuse these young girls, that they are really brought to justice.
Of concern, too, is domestic violence cases.
Should really approach a victim services office in St. Mary, or even if they don't go there, they can call AAA Justice and get information so that a victim service officer can really speak with them and give them some form of counseling. But we are urging the victims not to take revenge.
Bittersweet. It's how stakeholders who volunteered at International Coastal Cleanup Day described feeling after today's activities. And not for the first time, there are concerns about Jamaica's plastic bottle problem.
Bags filled with garbage and plastic bottles sit on the sidewalks in Montego Bay, St. James. They were collected from beaches along Freeport and Dead End as part of International Coastal Cleanup Day. But according to Executive Director of the Montego Bay Marine Park Trust, Hugh Shim, who led a team of about 200 volunteers, there weren't enough hands to completely remove all the garbage from the beaches.
If you check the piles up by the sidewalk, you'll see that there's still a lot. Still too much, because even when we finish here, we won't be able to take up every single piece of garbage that is here today.
Since the ban on single-use plastics, Mr. Shim admits there aren't as many plastic straws, styrofoams or plastic bags on the beach, but there were lots of plastic bottles. So, should the government ban these too?
No, I wouldn't say ban them, but what we should do is really have proper collection facilities, because as you can see, there are no receptacles over here. If there were a good amount of receptacles and maybe somebody, one or two custodians, then you know, at least they would be gathered and moved and sent to the recycling center.
From the skies, Jamaica appears to have no problems. But beyond the sand and beneath the clear blue waters, something isn't right. And the staff at the Jewel Grand in St. James say it can be a deciding factor for tourists.
When our guests come here, they want to see things that will make them want to come back. And having clean reefs and healthy reefs will ensure that they understand that we understand the mission, we're doing something good, and they will want to return.
And from Montego Bay to the old Helsha Beach in Portmore, St. Catherine, plastic bottles line the shore.
What I want the minister to do now is to pay some attention to the PET bottles, because it is damaging our environment. And of course, you know what is happening to our fishes when they eat the PET bottles, and then we have to consume it afterward.
Trash bag in one hand, gloves on the other, Ascot High School student Alexia Lewis was among several volunteers helping to clean the beach.
The first thing came to my mind was like why the people them choose for litter and like rubbish bin there and then just do recycle.
According to her teachers, it was an educational session as much as it was volunteerism. However, it was bittersweet.
They love to come to the beaches, enjoy the nice scenery here. So in order to enjoy, we'll have to keep it clean.
Jamila Maitland, TVJ News.